Welcome to On the Record, a joint production of Central Washington University and the Daily Record. I'm Joanna Markell, editor at the newspaper here with CWU President Jim Gaudino for our monthly conversation about Central Washington University and the community and the intersection between the two. We'll be talking about a bunch of stuff in today's edition, especially as school winds down here for the summer. First of all, we haven't touched base, I don't think, since the legislature wrapped up.
We haven't.
How did CWU fare?
Well, actually, we fared very well. All of higher education did not receive an additional cut this supplemental session. So that's good across the board. And then Central Washington University actually received $1.6 million more. 3.5 years ago, the legislator made a calculation error in our tuition revenue and cut us more than they should have. And we've been trying to convince them of that. We finally got that message across to them, so they've corrected that error. And we actually came out ahead in this session, so that's very, very good news.
That's good. So no big staff cuts in the way?
Yeah. Everything is financially looking pretty good. Now, we have to keep in mind, when I say no cuts, that's no additional cuts. Of course, we're still in the biennial year where we were cut so dramatically, but we were really assuming, based on the governor's budget and the first House and Senate budget, there'd be additional cuts, and those did not materialize. So, no, there'd be no, I mean, we're not seeing any additional staffing cuts. In fact, just the opposite. We're going to be able to invest resources back into the university, well, actually beginning this year, on some equipment purchases, some what we call goods and service purchases, and then next year some additional staffing, so staff and faculty. So all's looking good. Is
the money that you had lobbied for specifically because of the cut before, is that earmarked for anything? Do you have plans for that $1.6 million?
Oh, it becomes part of the overall budget, of course, and it's we're actually going to put much more than that back into the university because we've been the resource management that Vice President Clark and the entire campus has been involved in has just been outstanding. So it'll be much more than 1.6 that we're able to put back in. And no, it'll be across the board. It'll be the largest share of as one would assume, goes to academic and student life. It goes into the core mission of the university. And then there'll be more money put into our development effort and to our information technology effort. So it'll be an across-the-board ad with the bulk of it going to the academic mission.
And student numbers and enrollment, how is that looking at this point?
They're looking pretty good. You know, we never know for sure. We don't. The old cliche is you don't count your chickens until you hatch. We don't count our students until they arrive here. But in all the indications that are holding constant for us to have our 9,800 we call FTE, full-time equivalent students here, and somewhere around 11,000 head count, and that's both in Ellensburg and at our 6 centers.
And I was looking at numbers today that showed a very high percentage, probably the highest in the state, of the state colleges in terms of the number of students who are in-state.
Central has always had that. That's been our self-defined mission. We believe it important. I mean, we're a Washington public university, so we feel it very, very important to have our doors open to the citizens and the residents of Washington State. So that's always been there. I think we're 94% of our students are Washington residents. We don't see that changing. To some extent, it's to our disadvantage, I will say, because out-of-state students, international students, pay a higher tuition rate. But, you know, that's not what we're here for. So I think that number will stay.
Okay. Some new staff at CWU.
We do have some new staff coming to Central Washington.
So let's start with the College of Business. Catherine Martell is
Yes, our longstanding dean, Roy Savoyan, is sometimes saying stepping up to the faculty. He's going back to a faculty position. Roy has just done outstanding service to Central Washington University and is the dean who fulfilled his goal of having that program, that college, completely accredited. So that's done, and now Roy has a new passion, and that new passion is manifesting an innovation and entrepreneurial institute at Central Washington. He came to us and said, "I can't do both. I can't be the dean and create this new center, so I would like to step away from that job." And we said, "Well, you know, absolutely, that's a very important thing to do." And we've done a national search, and Catherine Martell comes to us from King College in New Jersey, and we're just very, very excited. She's an experienced dean. She's, as we say, a sitting dean there. Brings a lot of experience at undergraduate, master's, and community outreach. So we're very excited to have her coming.
And some of what Roy Savoy's been doing has had intersection with the community.
Absolutely. No, that's exactly what he's going to be doing. Yeah, that's exactly. And that's what he's developed his passion for, is basically, if you will, incubating and fostering new ideas, and then turning those new ideas into businesses. So that's what he wants to do, and that's what this new institute will focus on.
Okay, so a change there in the College of Business. A new director of continuing education, Richard Byham.
Byham, correct. He's here. He's actually here. The others are coming. They're in route. Or well, some of them are here. He's one that's here. I think we will see from Rick, the continued emphasis on what has made Central so strong there, but also even more outreach in the workforce development component of that program. So, like you say, more reaching out to the community than we ever have done in the past, and we've done a lot in the past. So it's not to put any criticism on what's come before. I think just kind of a renewed energy there as well.
Okay. New Executive Officer of Alumni Relations, Grace Greenwich.
Yeah, Grace she's been here, I think, just a couple of weeks. She comes to us from formerly as the alumni director for the Seattle University School of Law. Has had a lot of experience in alumni affairs, alumni relations, and is going to bring all that over to us and just make that program sing. Central has not historically, not just in recent years, but historically has not had the kind of alumni programs that we need in the modern era, because alumni programs, both in serving your alumni, and it really is it's not true to say, from birth to grave, because you don't know who's going to come, but certainly once a student decides to come to Central, they're just an alumni in waiting. And then when a student here, they're about to become an alumni, and you want that alumni association to start introducing them to their career fields. And then, of course, once you're an alumni, you want to make sure that you keep those folks close to the university to give them the services that they want. And Grace has that experience of bringing people throughout that, really a life cycle of being an alum.
So any other changes for the alumni program as a part of her arrival?
Yes, there will be, but I'm not going to preview that until she's only, again, a couple of weeks. I don't want to say exactly what she's going to do, because, of course, we have an alumni association, so there's a governing board. So she'll be working with them, and I don't want to get myself ahead of what she and the board is going to do. But yes, I will promise you, just having spent a couple of hours talking to Grace, that there's going to be lots of changes and lots of new things happening.
Okay. A couple of things in terms of administrative reorganization. I don't know.
One more new person.
Oh, one more. Oh.
He's not so new now because he's been here probably 2 months, and that's Scott Wade, who's the new director of university advancement. So he's heading that whole unit that has the traditional fundraising activities, and also the Grace, for example, reports to Scott. So I think, and Scott comes to us from New York, previously Baylor University, and then Houghton College in New York, and now he's a Washingtonian, so this is coming back home for him. Very experienced individual, is going to bring a lot of energy to the overall university development activities. And
lots of people in the community will be familiar with both of them, I think, as time goes on.
Yes, they will. I promise.
Administrative reorganization, and I don't know how technical this is and whether it's going to affect much on the ground, but the Office of Enrollment and Admissions is now part of the Business and Financial Affairs.
It is, and I don't think it will have any real impact, if you will, on the ground. That's been a kind of a toss-up of whether that should report to the provost or report to the vice president of business and financial affairs. And to some extent, this is an effort to make those two vice presidents' jobs manageable. Provost Levine, Dr. Levine, has 16 direct reports. That's a lot. So moving that effort to George in part balances that work, but also the enrollment management function is so database centric. It obviously has such a strong impact on our financial well-being that it seemed to make sense to put it there as part of that system. But from a practical import, I don't think it will have a practical impact. It will not have a great deal because John Sweeney, who's our Associate Vice President for Enrollment Management, will continue to sit on the Provost Council, so there'll be a strong liaison to the academic mission of the university and to the capacity. But he'll also then sit on George Clark's council that deals with the business aspects of the university. So I don't think you'll on the ground, in the day-to-day activities, I don't think there'll be much change.
Okay. Other sort of administrative changes that you know about that have a new associate provost here?
Well, it's the same person.
Okay. Just a new title.
It's a title change. It's actually one that I have favored since arriving here, and it's more traditional and historic than anything else. Is that the academic administration at that level typically, I think, bears the term provost as opposed to vice president. So it's Tracy Pillay. He was the associate vice president. Now he's the associate provost. It's no salary change, no significant responsibility changes there. Not a promotion. It's really just a designation that there's an academic leadership there. There are a couple of important changes. They won't be all that visible on our organizational chart, but I think these are ones that will have, I think, some importance. We're creating 3 faculty positions that will have administrative responsibilities within the Office of the Provost, and those will be to focus on our general curriculum at Central. The other to focus on our general education core, and the other to focus on faculty professional development. And these are not new administrative positions. These will be faculties who will do this work in addition to their teaching and their research. But it brings that faculty expertise and faculty leadership into the Office of the Provost, which is a very, very important thing to do. So those will on the org chart will be easy to overlook, but I think the impact on the university will be very significant in the coming years.
Is the goal to pursue more professional development, that kind of thing?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's such monumental changes in higher education as there are in your industry and almost with differing technologies, with differing demographic trends, with the demand for increased accountability from all segments of the public. So helping faculty keep up with it, because one of the things that I think the higher education has not always been as good at as industry, and that's giving the staff time to keep up with. I mean, we kind of assume that we're learners because we have PhDs and we've gone through that learning exercise, but boy, our time is so committed that you often need someone to kind of wave their hand and say, hey, here's something new, attend to it, and that's what this new staff person will do.
At the Daily Record, we're working on a story about CW professors taking sabbaticals, and it seems like that's a part of it. Yeah, that's been increasing lately. What does that do for faculty members to be able to, take time off from regular teaching duties to devote time to research like that? Yeah,
they devote time to research. They devote time to examining their teaching styles, to looking at their curricular contributions. What it really does is it sounds like a corny title, but we're really knowledge generators. That's why we joined this bit. We're knowledge generators and knowledge disseminators. And what a sabbatical allows a faculty member to do is to, if you will, step back and apply those skills that they have as researchers to either their research interest or their teaching interest. And they dedicate themselves solely to that function. They're not then, if you will, having to go off and teach classes and work their professional development around that. It's your full time. And it usually, it lasts for half a year to a year, depending upon the sabbatical that the faculty member gets.
Is the goal to encourage more people to do those?
Oh, really, it's a financial limitation. We pay the faculty on the shorter sabbaticals to go do this work, and then of course we then have to pay someone to teach those courses. So it costs the university for this professional development. Of course, it's money very well spent. We just have to make sure we have it. So, oh, absolutely, yeah. We would, obviously you can't have everybody out on sabbatical all the time. That doesn't work. But the notion of professional training, absolutely, absolutely. It keeps you up to speed, up to the current area, either in your scholarship or in your teaching.
Other changes, one of the things that came up in front of the Board of Trustees program, or Board of Trustees meeting in early May, was a new master's degree in higher education.
We have that, and that's actually a degree that, yes, we actually have done two things. We have renamed one of them, a master's degree, to an educational doctorate degree, so that we've done that, and then we also are creating a degree in administration. It's essentially a degree, a master's degree for those folks who want to go into the student life aspects, the student leadership aspects of college life. It's a high demand area. There's a lot of growth in that area, and there are very few programs in this region that offer it. So it seemed like a win-win. It wins for the students and it wins for the university.
Okay. As long as we're talking about different departments, it sounds like there may be some changes on the way for the foreign language department. Well,
we've gone through, Central Washington completed, well, we're completing, it'll be in the June meeting when the Board of Trustees will look at the final recommendations. But we reviewed all of our programs, about 169 programs, went through a pretty thorough review on a bunch of dimensions. And we looked at those programs to determine whether they should be enhanced, left alone, that everything is fine, modified to become better, or eliminated. And we started out with 80 programs that we took a second look at that fell into, we thought, something other than enhance or leave alone. That list got narrowed to 40, and then more recently got narrowed to 20 programs that we say should be eliminated. One of the programs that was slated for elimination is the German major, not the German classes, but the major in German, and that was based on a number of faculties. A number of dimensions. One was the quality of the program. One was the number of students in the program. One was the demand for the program externally. And then the degree to which that program fit into the long-term plans of that program. And that program was judged to not have the kind of student demand or the industry demand that warranted significant investment in the program. So that won't be eliminated. Other than that, no. We still think that language, there's going to be a name change. It's been called foreign languages, and that's not a term that is particularly popular now, because these languages that we're talking about oftentimes are spoken in this country. So it's going to be called, I think, the World Language Program. Still a very, very important aspect of Central Washington University's overall curriculum.
Okay. And do some of those changes that have been under review for months now?
Well, it's actually in some cases 18 months, yeah, a year and a half.
Will those go before the Board of Trustees?
They will go before the Board of Trustees in June.
So there's more discussion.
There's more discussion. The Board of Trustees creates programs. The Board of Trustees is the only one that can eliminate programs. Any
other big changes that may be coming about because of that review?
Well, there'll be all in all 20 programs that are slated for elimination. That sounds scarier than it is. In some cases, and I'm getting very technical now, and some of the viewers will kind of roll their eyes on but in some cases we had a BA degree in a subject and a BS degree. So we had both a Bachelor of Arts and a Bachelor of Science degree. And some of the reviews said, well, we probably don't, and the difference was a couple of courses. And we said, we probably don't need both of those degrees. So let's have either the BA or the BS. In most cases, it's the BS, the Bachelor of Science degree. So as a practical effect, it has relatively little impact on students. What it would do is it will better allocate the faculty time. So there's a savings, which is a savings in effort. And those are the majority of the kinds of changes that we see. So you can almost see it as a catalog cleanup more than a monumental change in our course offerings.
Okay. And is that something that down the line you would do that every few years?
We want to do that every, well, actually, we want to do it as a continuous process. So we'll have about 100, in round numbers, 150 programs if we did 30 or 40 of them a year, so that every 4 or 5 years, that we'd go through this effort with a limited number of programs, so that we're constantly self-evaluating ourselves. That's what every university should do. Most universities don't do that. It's a painful process when if you're the person being reviewed and there's a chance that you might not survive that review, you've spent your lifetime building a program. It's a very emotional thing to do. So many universities just decide not to do it. In today's world, you can't decide that any longer. So we'll be doing it continuously now.
Okay. Couple other changes. There's a new Wildcat logo.
There's a new Wildcat logo. Now, yeah, it's a Wildcat logo, not a university logo. Minor distinction here. We have our seal. It's the round. It's the round seal. Then there's the sports logo, which has always been the cat head. And the university, I think, has had 5 or 6 cat heads over its time. We're about to have another one. In fact, it's on our website now. If you go to www.cwu.edu, there'll be a little picture up in that address bar. That's our new logo. It's more modern. Yeah, it's more modern. It's powerful, just as Central Washington is, it's there were some people who, I think is always the case, wanted to hold on to what we had. It's what their logo. Most people, when we looked at alumni groups and so forth, most people said, yeah, it's a lot of, if you will, power and kind of a modern look to this logo. It's also one that I think is a little bit easier to use and design. So yeah, there's a new logo. Now, will the other one be gone? Nope. The other one will still be around. You can actually, I think I looked at eBay recently for some Central Washington memorabilia, and there are 2 or 3 logos that you can still buy online. So the old cat head will be around for a while, but we're transitioning to the new one. Okay, and that appears on all kinds of stuff. Oh, it appears on T-shirts, on ball caps, on wristbands, on blankets. Of course, it's throughout our sporting program. There's lots and lots of cat heads there. It'll be painted on the floor of Nicholson Pavilion. And one of the timing of it, in fact, that needed to be resurfaced anyway. So we're going to go. This was timed so that we didn't have to spend any additional money on that program. In fact, some people have asked, what's this going to cost? It doesn't cost anything. We'll transition, and whenever we print something, we'll use the new one, not the old one. Whenever we make a new batch of T-shirts or ball caps, it'll be the new one and not the old one. So it was designed by a student, so we didn't go out to a design firm and pay for design work. It's an in-house activity. Okay. I'm kind of excited about it.
Another big exciting thing on campus that just happened last week is SOURCE.
Symposium on University Research and Creative Expression. And it is, I've been at lots of university campuses watching their student research activities, and I have never seen anything like SOURCE, even at much larger research-oriented universities, nothing like SOURCE. 400 plus presentations involving more than 40 of our academic units. It involved, of course, the more traditional research project in the sciences or the social sciences, the humanities and art projects, musical performances, business plans were presented and judged. It's an all-day, it's really, for those who, and I know many of the viewers will have not had this experience, if you've gone to a professional conference or particularly an academic conference where everybody is there showing their year's work, that's what we do here. And it's almost all student-driven. And it's just absolutely marvelous.
We always have a hard time figuring out what to cover because there's so much.
Like I say, 400, and it starts at 8 o'clock. It ends in the in the evening, and there are 400 presentations that go on in that day, all in the circ. It's just a bustle of activity. And what's so exciting to me is I get over there and we do what we call some of them are poster sessions. We call them, and basically it's a big poster with the results of the study on it, and then the student, typically, who's done the research, stands in front of that and asks questions. And to see the sparkle in the student's eye and the enthusiasm and the excitement that they have about really creating new knowledge. Much of that work will go on for refinement and then publication in academic journals. So students leaving here will have published material to their credit. It's just an opportunity that, like I say, I don't know another university that has a program that would compete with ours.
We only have a few minutes left, but we should talk about commencement, which is June 9th.
June 9th. We have two on this side of the mountain and one on the other side. On this side of the mountain, we'll have Christine Day. Christine Day is an alumnus of Central Washington University. She's the CEO of Lululemon Athletica, which is a clothing line, men and women. I think slightly stronger on the offerings on the women's side of clothing. She was recently named CEO of the Year. She lives in Vancouver, British Columbia. So she'll be coming down and share. And one thing that we're doing at Central, started this year, is our banners that we have hanging on campus. Used to feature students and shots of the campus. We're now putting our prominent alumni on there, and Christine's has been recently unveiled. She'll be on this side, and on the other side of the mountains for our West Side graduation, Sabrina Jenkins, also an alumnus of Central Washington University and one of the chief attorneys for Starbucks, will be speaking over there. So, it's a kind of a sad time because you get to know the seniors, more than the freshmen, sophomores, juniors, because they've been here longer. And to see them leave, there's a little bit of a tear in the eye, but a lot of pride because they're going to go off and do great things and start another chapter of their life. So it's a pretty exciting time.
Any other things people should know about the summer ahead here at CWU? Well,
we stay open. Central Washington University has more camps and conferences than any of the other universities. So there's a lot of activity that takes place on campus. We have the largest football camp on the West Coast, so there's a lot of activity on the campus. Of course, summer school is going on, and for those in the in the Ellensburg community, it's just a great place on an afternoon to stroll across campus. So please come on up and take advantage of the campus when the bustle is a little bit less than it is during the normal academic year.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much. Anything else you wanted to add?
No.
Okay. Well,
have a good summer.
Yeah. Thank you for joining us. I'm Joanna Markell, the editor of the Daily Record, here with Central Washington University President Jim Gaudino. And this has been On the Record. If you have any questions you want to forward our way, feel free to comment on the Daily Record's Facebook page or email me at jmarkell@kvnews.com. Thank you.